Today, we're gonna make a place for your flights of fancy to land. We're gonna create this adorable birdhouse out of things that you might find around your home or on a nature walk. Let me show you what you need. You're going to need a clean and dry juice or milk container, some plaster cloth, things like moss, pine cones, little popcorn kernels, twigs, some dowel rods, some chenille stems, pencils, pens, paintbrushes, paints, white glue to hold it all together, some masking tape, and scissors. Now, you're gonna wanna cover your work surface for this one because it gets a little messy, but that's half the fun. We're gonna start off by marking the holes in our container. And I'm using this little condiment cup, but you could use a lid of something else or just freehand the holes that you wanna make. Now, this one's gonna have two. It's a duplex, but you could do it either way. So to get started, I'm just gonna use the point of my scissors and punch into the middle and then cut around to create the hole. Now this might be a little challenging, so you may need some adult supervision for this one. There we go. Once you get the hole started, it's actually pretty easy. So you'd repeat that and make another one at the bottom. The other thing you're going to want to do is make a perch. And to do that, we're going to use a little bit of dowel. And this one has been cut, but you could also use like a broken pencil. But you might want to use a little bit of sandpaper just to knock off any splintery edges because we want to make sure that it's nice and smooth. Okay, so now what we're going to do is make a little hole with our pencil about an inch from the bottom. And I'm just going to carefully poke it straight down like this. And you can kind of work the pencil around to make the hole a little bit bigger. I have to make it even a little bit bigger still, so I'm just going to kind of nudge it out. Like so. All right, perfect. Now what we're gonna do is add a little bit of white glue so that we know that it stays in. And I'm using a thick white glue for this project because I really want the project to hold together well, like this. There we go. And then we're gonna add just a little bit of masking tape to the dowel rod because the next step is applying the plaster cloth, and I don't want to get plaster on there. So I'm going to do just like this. Okay, so then now the next part is working with plaster cloth. Now, if you've never used this, it's kind of cool. It's kind of like what doctors used to use to make your casts. And we're going to glove up, protect your work surface, and get some nice warm water. So I've got some plaster wrap here, and if you notice, it actually is like a fabric that has plaster embedded. And you can just cut it with scissors like this. And we're gonna cut some smaller squares, like about 4 inches. This is 4 inches wide. And then we're gonna cut some longer strips that are 10 inches, and then some long skinny strips that are 1 inch wide. So what we're gonna do, this is pretty cool. We're going to dip our cloth into the water and then just give it a little gentle rub. And all of those beads of plaster start to melt and create a surface. So what we're gonna do is continue dipping and wrapping, and we're gonna cover this whole thing. Notice how I have some nice long strips to do the sides and the back, and you're gonna wanna go even underneath. All right, now these little skinny strips are good when you wanna do around the top and get the chimney like this. So just go ahead and smooth it down. The layers can overlap so you get a nice big coverage. Okay, set that aside in some newspaper and let it dry. When you're done, you're gonna end up with something that looks kind of like this. See how it's all smoothed over? And then what we're gonna do is have some fun painting, because really the decorating is the best part. We're gonna go ahead and base coat it blue, like you see I've done here. We're gonna add some brown for the top, and I wanna just go ahead and finish this part right here so that you can see how easy it is to paint. Actually, because it's plaster, the water from the acrylic paint kind of soaks in quickly, so really it does dry fast. And then you can paint this little It's a pouring spout in real life, but here it becomes the chimney for our little birdies. And I'm just gonna add a little bit of red for my little chimney like this. Now, let's get to decorating, because seriously, that is so much fun. So I'm going to start off by creating something to paint with. And what happens if you don't have a paintbrush? You make one. So we're going to take, I'm gonna unglove here because it has a little bit of paint on there. And I'm going to make a little, kind of like a leaf shape with my pipe cleaner, like this. And you can just kind of smush it. And then dip it in your paint. And this is cool too. Dip a little bit in the brown, so you've got a little bit on both. And now what we're gonna do is press and pounce. I'm gonna add a little more. And I love the way the colors kind of bend and smush. Isn't this awesome? That looks cute, right? So we're gonna go ahead and make little happy trees and bushes. We can take a straw, squish the end, dip it in, and now it makes little leaves like a vine. I'm gonna go ahead and kind of go up like this. And you can make a little trailing vine if you like. That's fun. It's like a little ivy vine crawling up the side of the house. You can also use a toothpick and just dip it into the red paint and make little berries or flowers. That's a lot of fun. So once you've got it all decorated the way you want, we're going to use some found materials to make the roof line. And we're gonna start off by taking this pine cone, and you can just kind of break off the different pieces or use a scissors. And I have some that I've cut here. And now we're gonna go ahead and shingle the roof with the pine cones. You can just kind of lay them in here. And this is why the big, thick, tacky glue works so nicely. And I'll do like a row here so you can see. And actually this was a situation where putting it down on the table may be a little more helpful. That way they don't fall off. All right, and we're gonna overlap so you can see how that looks. But you'll continue overlapping just like shingles until you've covered the entire roof. Then you want to decorate with things like miniature pine cones, popcorn, and I can show you here on the front that you see that we've decorated and made a little perch. We've used some twigs to go ahead and create a little opening, and there you go, a little place for the birds and flights of fancy to land.